the code to do that was really just this one line right there. So really nice. N1 is really, or NVD3 was really a nice JavaScript library. So Slidify Interactive is what I'm using to embed these graphics into Slidify. Later on we'll have lectures on Slidify that you can watch. These are the commands. If you Google on Slidify Interactive, Ramnath will go through the examples. It's kind of a non-trivial endeavor to do this, so I'm just putting it out there that this is what I'm doing for this exercise, but you can actually just view the things directly in R or have it launch a web page. Just a couple of thoughts. So the object N1 contains the plot. In RStudio, typing N1 brings up the plot in the RStudio viewer, or you can just assign it to an object. If you do N1 asterisk and then tab, you see the various functions contained in the objects. For example, N1 HTML prints out the HTML. N1 save file name is what I'm using to bring it back into a Slidify document. The save function just saves an HTML document with the plot embedded in it. So let's just deconstruct another example. For the time being, just think forget about that command and that we've reformatted the data in the form that we want, and we still want to have an outcome sepal length plotted as a function of sepal width and conditioning on species. Okay, so that seems like pretty reasonable notation for that kind of plot. This is rplot from a different graphics library, and I'm going to assign it to the variable r1 like before. If I didn't do that, it would just show the plot. Data equals iris, color equals species, type equals point are options for the specific kind of plot. The options aren't terribly well documented in rCharts, but I think, like I said, you can search on the internet and get a lot of examples. And basically you can work around with the examples. And so here you see how it does the grouping, and then it's doing the dot plot. So here's the species is the color, sepal width is the horizontal axis, and it breaks it up into several plots. But you can see you get this nice interactive highlight mouse over with the points. Okay. Here's a so-called faceted bar plot, and then it's just changing type equals bar, right? And I assigned it to the variable r2, and then remember that other stuff, this was just so that I can bring it back into Slidify. Otherwise you would just work with the object r2. You wouldn't have to reprint it out to you wouldn't have to cat the plot out into that. That's what's embedding it into Slidify for me. So again, you see it's basically the same plot, but you've switched it to a bar plot. So how do you get the JavaScript /HTML or publish in our chart? So here's my plotting command. Print just prints out the relevant JavaScript notation. Saves it as an HTML file. Publish, you can publish it to gist, which is just a quick GitHub snippet of code. You have to have the package rJSON installed to do that. You can save it to rpubs, which is a collection of R graphics, and so on. But I like to put them into Slidify documents is what I like to do, but that's maybe a little bit more finicky, but once you get used to it, that's what I like to do. So let's just go through some more examples to see the sorts of things you can do with rCharts. So I would notice that Ramnath mentions that the IO 2012 style for HTML slides and polycharts seem to have some conflicting JS. They seem to be working fine for me, but I do get errors if I load this polychart library. So if you're debugging with polychart and IO style, factor that in. If you're embedding rCharts into Slidify, if you're not, then none of this is relevant for you. If you're grabbing the HTML or doing something else. So here's this plotting package called Morris, and what I like about Morris, you can see the plot here. My X is date, and my Y, I'm giving two Ys. where here it's 2 columns and my type is line. I really like this plot. This is a nice time series plot, because what it shows is you have these nice time series, but as you move it along, you can see it keeps the points constant in a horizontal line between the grouping variables. So you can kind of see, here in 1980, between the 2 different grouping variables, what the values were. Okay, so this is actually a really nice, nice little plot. rCharts, here's just another one. This is what this example looks like. I'm not too enthusiastic about this one, but maybe rCharts has a lot of